All right, everyone. My name is Conley Owens. I'm a pastor at Silicon Valley Reformed Baptist Church, and I would like to teach you how to use AI. Now, I'm not an expert. I've only had a pretty minimal amount of experience with AI, although that's true, I guess, for everyone right now. At the same time, I have been a software engineer for 20 years and have recently quit my full-time job to cease being bivocational and to be full-time in the work of ministry. And I figured I'd use a little bit of that experience and some of the extra time that God has blessed me with through the generosity of the church to teach you, my brothers in ministry, how to use these tools for good. Now, I figure I'd start off with a tweet in order to illustrate. So we have here C.R. Wiley, who is not a fan of AI. This article from the Wall Street Journal says, pastors using AI to help write sermons grapple with where to draw the line. And he says, simple solution, defrock them. Okay, so don't use AI at all. Of course, there's a vast spectrum of how to use AI. Using AI doesn't mean that you just write the sermon with AI, where AI spits out the whole sermon. It could mean that you're using it to look up verses or something like that. Now, Paul Overby has this comment here that I think is interesting because it shows that people who are open to AI aren't necessarily thinking about it the way that I think we will be in the near future. So he says, there must always be a clear and visible chain of reasoning from the text to the sermon. AI can obscure this chain. Furthermore, AI can contribute to the atrophy of exegetical skills as pastors query AI instead of studying God's word. Now, all this is true in theory, and it's even true in practice in some measure. Of course, that's the case with any tool that would help you, that if the result from it isn't hard won, then it's easily lost sometimes. That's true just with looking stuff up on Google instead of, having to dig through a book and then meditate on it for a while. This is true with looking things up on Wikipedia, etc. But there seems to be a suggestion that it's especially true with AI. Now, what I have found that people whose minds immediately go here on this kind of thing don't necessarily have a lot of experience with AI. They are typically thinking of AI as a chatbot that they talk to. Right? So maybe you've used ChatGPT or Gemini or something like that, and you know that it occasionally hallucinates. You're thinking of it as just looking up stuff and spitting out information. That's kind of all you do with it. It's not very creative or constructive, or maybe it is in some measure, but not as much as it could be. So I would like to teach you how to use it more constructively and to expose you to the kinds of things that you could be doing with it. So I'm going to, in this series, just be going through some things that I encounter in my day-to-day that I would like to be doing as a minister, and I pull out AI to solve that problem. And I want to solve that problem with you. So today, the problem that I want to solve is that I want to build a flashcard deck for the Baptist Catechism. Now, if I pull up my browser again here, I can show you. I use Anki for my flashcards. Now, if you've never used this before, it's a flashcard app. You can manage it on the web, but you can use it on iOS. You can use it on Android. So I use the client called AnkiDroid on Android. And as you can see, I've not done a good job lately of keeping up with my flashcards. I've not done a good job in a while, but I want to get back to it. And so, I study Aramaic. I've got terms about Buddhism. I've got Esperanto in here, and some Greek vocab and Hebrew, and terms about Hinduism, and all kinds of things that I've studied in the past. My Tagalog is pretty dead at this point. I've only taken a first-year course, but anyway, I tried to stay up on these things, and in particular, I'd like to have all of the Baptist Catechism memorized. Now, Baptist Catechism has 114 questions, but I only have maybe 30 in here, and I've put them all in manually. Let's see if I can find out exactly how many I have. Let's see. It may not be so easy to see from this. let's see if I do search Baptist Catechism. I don't know if that's going to work. That didn't work. Okay. We can't see from the web view exactly how many I have. The app is a lot better. But we can import a flashcard deck. And what I would like to do here is basically generate a better flashcard deck. Now, maybe we can try going through this and I can show you one of the problems. All right, so if I show the answer to this, who is the first and chiefest being? Hopefully you know. God is the first and chiefest being. So when it says that, it has this, it has the proof text. Yeah, I've copied and pasted this into here. Unfortunately, the way that I actually memorize these is with the Jim Orick songs, and I don't have those here. I do on some of these cards have the URL to the page where I can go listen to those, but taking a step out into the browser to then play the song is one step removed, if possible. And I don't even know if it is possible at this point, but if possible, I'd like to get that in here too. And I think it may be. So let's go ahead and start really trying to attack this problem. I'm going to try to approach this as someone who is more ignorant of what I am than what I am actually ignorant of. For example, I know where I could find a lot of the data, and maybe you do too, for the Baptist Catechism, but I'm going to pretend like I don't know, just to sort of walk you through how you should think about all these things. All right, so here we are in the middle of this directory that I've created just for this project called Catechism Flashcards. Now I'm going to bring up Claude, and you should know that I'm on Ubuntu. I am not on Windows, I'm not on Mac. Mac, you'll probably get a lot of the same traction out of. Windows, I'm not sure if it'd be as easy. It would be worth trying to get Ubuntu on your Windows machine if you can side load it or whatever the case is. We might have to cover that in a different video. Do ask any questions in the comments for things that you'd like me to cover in the future. But I'm using Claude Code. Now, you do want to be using Claude Code, not just Claude as a, as a chatbot on the web, because you want to give Claude some agency over your own computer to get some things done. So let's go ahead and get started here. I want to create, well, let me do this with voice. So you can turn on voice mode. Well, that just turned it off. But if you turn it on, then you can use the space bar in order to talk to it. I want to create an Anki flashcard deck with the Baptist Catechism. Can you help me get data for the Baptist Catechism? And also, I would like the Jim Orick songs to be playable from within the deck as I display an answer. This should only be one directional. The question is the catechism question, and then the answer is the catechism answer. It would be nice if it included the proof text, but then even more prominently, the song. All right, and so we're gonna see what it does with this. Really, it is that simple. You'd be surprised what you can do if you just understand what the possibilities are. All right, and I'm cheating here. It found that I already have this data downloaded, which it wasn't supposed to know that. It was supposed to go find it online, but it would have found it online. It would have found it in, ideally, baptistcatechism.org, which is a site that my church runs. So, all right, so if you go to baptistcatechism.org, it has all this information, and it could have found all that. Now let's go back to see what it's doing here. It's downloading the songs. All right, and it is getting them from storage.googleapis.com, so that's good. That is where I have them stored for baptistcatechism.org. Jim Oric gave us permission to host these. So now it's going to, let's see, I wonder how it's doing. It's not always the best at telling us what the progress is, but it looks like it may be about done. And what I can do is I can split this and show you. Now I am going to be using the command line a lot. You don't necessarily have to be comfortable with the command line. You can just talk to Claude. But because I'm comfortable using the command line, I'm going to say ls, and so that lists the directory, and it created a media directory, ls media. This is, and there's all those files, 114. So it did download 114 of them, just to show you what this might look like if you weren't comfortable with the command line and you had just opened up another instance of Claude. Can you tell me about the state of this project? It doesn't even really, this instance of Claude doesn't really know what the project is, but it'll notice that directory and should be able to tell us a little bit about it. It says it's listing 2 directories. That's interesting because I wonder if there's a second directory that's been created at this point. Oh, there are missing songs. Well, that is very interesting. 69, no, 69 was there. I'm not sure what it's complaining about. Oh, interesting. Okay, so some of these files are 0-byte files. Once again, I feel comfortable with the command line, so I'm going to just do what I need to do to look at this situation. We've got a bunch of files here. Yeah, it looks like they all have data. It looks like they all have data, so I'm not sure why it was complaining, but maybe there was something else going on here. So, there's media small. What is that? Who knows what that is? Why did it create media small? Interesting. Maybe it's trying to fit these into the flashcard deck. That's got to be what it is, because let's go ahead and look at the different size of these directories. You could also do this with the file explorer. I mean, I guess that's kind of obvious, but I find that slow. Yeah, so a 1/4 gig in the flashcard deck seems like a bit much, but 75 megs is perfectly reasonable. So it's compressing down the songs so that it can put them in the deck. That's very good. Very good. I wouldn't have even thought to do that. I would have just tried shoving them in there at first. All right, yeah, so they re-encoded the audio to 96 kilobytes per second. Okay, hopefully that's audible. Let me go ahead and play it. I think you should be able to hear it too as I play it. But let's go ahead and play 2 of the songs, see if they sound similar enough. I don't know if maybe I should do this with File Explorer so that it's evident to you what's going on. Maybe that would be better. Sorry, I'm used to explaining tech stuff to tech people, and I'm really trying to figure out what the best way of explaining this to people who may not be as experienced in tech. All right, so let's find out if the compression was reasonable. Let's start off with what the song is supposed to sound like.
Who is the first and chiefest being? God is the first and chiefest being.
All right, so you get the idea there. Now let's go back, listen to the compressed version.
Who is the first and chiefest being? God is the first and chiefest being.
All right, yeah, I'm no audiophile. I can't tell the difference between them. That's going to work great. All right, something I'm noticing that's interesting here is that it created this file, Baptist Catechism work, APKG, and that is something that I should be able to upload to Anki, but I notice that as I look around Anki, get your decks, create decks, etc., there doesn't actually seem to be a way to upload this. And I think the answer is that I'm supposed to download the desktop app and then upload it. But once again, we can ask ourselves, do we really need to do any of that? Or can AI just do it for us? I think it probably can. Let's find out. All right, so I'm going to go over here and I'm going to create a second Claude session. I'm going to say, all right, Claude, I have a file that is an APKG, which I believe is a flashcard deck for Anki. Could you figure out how to upload that to my Anki account? I don't have my password or email address written down anywhere, but I assume you need that, so just tell me where to put it. All right, let's see what it does. Maybe now would be a good time just to check what we actually have in this directory. All right, yeah, so there's the APKG. Well, let's go ahead and look inside the zip directory and see what's in there. Whoops, whoops, whoops. I did not realize that's what was going to happen. So I clicked on it and it opened it up. All right, so we've got a bunch of files, and then we've got collection Anki 2. All right. Well, there we go. That seems like it's probably the whole flashcard deck. All right, let's look. Anki isn't installed. All right, yeah, it does not like that. Okay, well, I could just install it. If desktop, blah, 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 phone. Is there not an API you can hit? All right, an API is basically the protocol for talking to these different services. So while on one hand, that feels like really technical language, I think it's just going to be a language we're going to have to start speaking a little more. So yeah, that's the term you want to use if you want to know whether or not you could talk to any of these different services without actually opening the website or opening the app. And it looks like it's thinking about it. I'm going to just go ahead and close this over here. I don't think we are going to need that load to do this. There we go. We didn't need the app at all. All right, but it is going to need our password. So let me go ahead and figure out how to do that. Well, let's do this. It's telling me to run this script, and then I can type my password in and such. But what I'd rather do is just let it have my password and everything in a way where it could reuse it if we end up improving the script at all or something. So I'm going to tell it some instructions. Create a .env file that will have a place for my username and my password. I'll fill it in. Now you could have just done anything. .env is the standard, but you could just say, hey, I'd like to just put this in a text file so that you could reuse it, and it'll know what to do. It might call it .env, it might call it something else. It really doesn't matter here. So we have that. Something else. And I don't know if this is going to work, and it's kind of a little scary if it does, but can you just take my password from Google Chrome. Is that possible? You would then populate the .m file with that. And of course it's misspelled. Okay, so it got blocked in doing that. The harness, which is the thing that's basically controlling the model, says that's a little too unsafe. So that seems reasonable that it didn't do it. I am going to now, I think I'll just manually do this. So if we look at our file here, we don't see the .m file. That's because on Linux, if a file starts with a dot, it's hidden. So we want to go ahead and pull this up. And here we've got our thing. My username is just my email address. I'm going to go ahead and pull this off screen and type this in. And then all right, so I pulled that off screen and I went ahead and typed it in. Now let's see whether or not it worked. And it's already got this and anticipated what I'm going to say next. So I'll just click tab and go with it. Before it uploads this, and I don't know if this is possible, is there any way that it can keep my progress on the 30 whatever cards that I already have up? That seems like it might be a little sophisticated. It's probably going to have to go and edit those cards and not just upload this. So let's see. I have a Baptist Catechism deck already that I would like this to replace. However, some of those cards have progress, and I would like that progress to be mapped on the equivalent cards. All right, it looks like it's going to be able to do it. Pretty cool. Now, something that you may encounter something that I'm guessing you're going to encounter as you do this is you won't already have Python installed, etc. But all you have to do is tell it to install these things. Now, it won't necessarily be able to, but you can give it permission. And you just have to ask it, how do I give you permission for these things? And it will tell you. All right, it looks like it has a plan here. It's going to match the cards up based on how the new deck is structured and then based on how the old deck is structured. It recognizes that the question number is put in different parts of the question, but it can figure that out pretty quickly. And it looks like it's consistent enough that it can just do it with a script and not have to do it manually. Manually meaning looking as an AI at each one individually. Instead, it's going to build a little program that's going to do it in a programmatic way. I spoke too quickly. Apparently, a number of them don't match up exactly. So this is an interesting find. I've got 2 cards that are duplicated, and it's asking me which progress I want to take from them. I'll just take the highest interval, I guess. And then how far should it take it? Let's see. All right. Yeah, this first option looks good. It's going to do all this locally and then ask me to review. I don't know exactly what that means, what it's going to do locally exactly. I don't know if it can establish progress in the local deck. I thought that that was something that was just on the server, but yeah, let's go ahead. All right, so everything looks like it's going to work here. It tells us that, yeah, it's got a deck. The progress has been transplanted into the deck, which is apparently something you can do locally. Didn't realize that. the old deck is deleted. So that has not actually happened here. It's saying that this is what would happen, I think. Or maybe it downloaded it locally and then deleted it. Yeah, I suppose that's what it's actually getting at. But as I look at my my actual Anki, I realize I still have my old deck. It hasn't uploaded anything, right? Because it has not synced. Okay, so it's got everything. It's got my old deck. It's with the progress, I assume. And okay, we are good to go. I don't care about installing Anki Desktop. I really don't want to do that at all. I don't write the upload script. Yes, I won't run upload until you say so. Go ahead and upload. I guess it's going to have to write the upload script to do that. But let's work here. Oh, I was on the wrong screen. But yeah, anyway, told it to go ahead and upload because everything looks good. All right, so it looks like it finished. Let's find out if it worked. Over here, I'm going to refresh. Boom. Okay, things look different. It's got a little interesting rename here, which is not what I expected, but we can change that. We can rename here. Rename to the Baptist Catechism. All right. Let's go ahead and try one of these cards. Who's the first and chiefest being? Oh, nice. It's got a little style on there. I don't know if you can see that, but nice. It's got the song. Now, let's see if when I pull it up on my phone, it does the same thing. Gonna have to sync on my phone. All right, so let's try this. Now, you probably didn't notice, but the problem is it auto plays. It played immediately without waiting for me to press the button, but as soon as I hit answer, it started playing. Okay, so we're gonna have to fix this. Now, first, let's find out if it auto played on the web. Did it auto play on the web also? It did not. Okay, so this was just a phone issue. Well, I think I'm going to do this in a new tab just to free up a little context here. You don't have to be this aggressive about getting fresh context, but it seems to make sense now. I know that my face is plastered over half of this here, so let me go ahead and move this over. All right, so let me go ahead and talk. The problem with this flashcard deck is that on the phone, the audio files autoplay as soon as I show the answer. That is in the Anki Droid client. I don't know if it's a client-specific issue or what, but this does not happen on the web. Can you help me fix this? Also, while you're at it, I don't like that there is a light beige background color on the question and answer. It would be better if it were just the default background, so it would look the same whether I'm using light or dark mode. The same isn't really what I mean. Look. Appropriate. I guess that's an okay word. All right, so explaining the issue, the autoplay comes from the sound tag. Anki plays AV tags automatically on reveal by design. AnkiWeb doesn't because browsers block autoplay. Deck preset settings. Autoplay false. Swap to audio controls. Audio controls sounds better. Audio controls sounds better. I really only want to play the song if I didn't know the answer and need to remind myself of the song. I assume audio controls just means that I would get to play if I want to and not if I don't. It's also asking me, the open question was whether the audio fix should live in your collections deck settings or in the card template. It should live in the card template. That's clear. It's not a deck specific thing. Well, deck specific is a weird term because it is specific to this deck as it travels around, but not, it's not just a user setting. All right, so now here it's building some CSS to display the flashcard. If you don't know what CSS is, that's fine. I really want to encourage you to go ahead and play around with these kinds of things even when you don't understand them. That's kind of the beauty here. You can pick up what you need to pick up and just keep moving. Okay, this is interesting because it looks like an even better solution. It looks like instead of the songs being built into the deck itself, it is just going to download them from the web as needed. Is that correct? Do I understand this correctly, that you will be just downloading these from the web as needed? If that is the case, can we just use the Google storage URLs where you found them from in the first place and not ship them with the deck? All right, so it's advising against that because then offline access doesn't work and the links could get broken, etc. I agree with that assessment, so I'm going to just leave it be. 75 megs isn't all that much. Let's just go ahead and sync. Let's go ahead and upload and sync. All right, it says it's done. Let's go ahead and try this one more time. All right, if I were to refresh this, well, we don't have the beige background anymore, so that's good. No beige background. Excellent. Now let's change my settings here, and it does look pretty good. All right, it autoplayed. That's because I didn't sync. Let's try again. Okay, syncing. Collection is synced. Now, one problem here is it renamed that deck once again. So let's just fix that. I would like you to rename this deck to just the Baptist Catechism. It's now uploaded as both the Baptist Catechism and the Baptist Catechism ORIC, and I only want this up once. All right, so it should be up. Let's see how it did. All right, we just have the Baptist Catechism. I click, it seems to be reasonable. All right, but now the real test is the phone. Let's try this. We've got our question. Now, will it autoplay? There we go. No, it did not autoplay. But it still plays the song. Okay, now let's check the statistics on the cards. If I go down to my card counts, we see that I still have my 40 cards that are listed as being mature, so I didn't lose any progress, and I thought I was going to have to. So that ended up being more successful than I thought it would be. Well, that was great. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if there's some kind of problem that you'd like to see attacked. And I look forward to helping give you more tools to do the work of ministry here in the age of AI.